the time,
Yeah, go
you
ahead.
know, I watch a lot of Ahmed Deedat and Zakir Naik, and a lot,
Okay.
these are the people that kind of where I learned quite a bit from. Um, One of the things that Deedat says is he says, "Where in the Bible does Jesus say that he's God?"
Oh,
And if I
yeah,
could please, I mean, because if this is something so important that humans, uh, just salvation is so important that he just come. Why didn't Jesus just come out and say this plainly?
who
Why
told you? Jesus should have said, like in the Old Testament, where Yahweh says, I am God, there's no other. So that's the argument. But now, very easy. That's too easy. First of all, I'm going to answer your question, but then I want to turn it against D Dot. I mean, he's not here, but you'll be number one. This guy kills me, dude. Anyway, number one, coming back to the issue. Since the New Testament doesn't teach there's only one person who's God, that's why we're Trinitarian, because the Bible forced us to that position. For Jesus to come up to a first century audience, Jews, and he said, I am God, without qualification, that would have miscommunicated because they would have assumed that he's claiming to be the Father in heaven. But he's not the Father in heaven. So, what is the best way for Jesus to communicate to his audience that they'll get the point? I'm not the Father, but I'm God in the flesh. To say I am God without qualification, that would miscommunicate. It's just like today when Muslims tell me, well, if he is God, was he praying to himself? See, that means they don't get how I'm using the term God. The term God can be used as identity, which we use it for the Father, or it can refer to a person's nature. So what did Jesus do? He spoke in a way that they got it. I'm not the Father, but I'm God in the flesh. And that's why if you read the Gospels, they even condemn him saying, you a man, make yourself out to be God. Why? Because they knew, wait, you didn't claim to be the Father, but you just said you're the Son of God in such a way that makes you equal to the Father. Therefore, you're claiming to be God, but we can't accept it because you're a man. So there would be no better way for Jesus to have said he's God than the way he said it so his audience wouldn't misunderstand him. And I can give you verse after verse after verse. And I'll give you some examples. But now, if Didat was standing in front of me, I'm going to say, so Jesus has to say, I am God in those words for you to accept it. Well, I will now take Shahada. And Omar can chime in. You show me in your Quran. Now notice, I'm going to use your argument. I will take Shahada. If you show me in the Quran where the Quran has Isa saying, I am the Messiah,
where he has Jesus saying he's the Messiah?
where Isa in your Quran, because the Quran quotes Isa, he speaks. I want you to show me in the Quran where Isa says, I am the Messiah. Listen to my argument. The Quran says Isa is the word of Allah sent to Mary. Now, can you show me where Jesus said that? Because the Quran says he's Messiah, but I want Jesus to say, I'm Messiah in your Quran. The Quran says he's the word of Allah sent to Mary. Show me where Jesus in the Quran says, I am the word of Allah sent to Mary.
It doesn't say that verbatim, but my question to you is, why would it have to say that? Why would Jesus
That's
have to
my
say that?
question to you. Why does Jesus have to say, I am God, if God the Father says he's God and the creator, and that should be sufficient for me? Now,
God
no,
the Father says that Jesus is God?
Hebrews 1, 8 to 12. Yes.
That
Open it
Jesus
up
is
for him.
God?
Yes, the Father says to the Son, your throne, O God, is forever and ever. And then he says to the Son, you're the Lord who created heaven and earth. He's going to read it for you.
But of the Son, he says, your throne, O God, is forever and ever.
Now, Lewis, did you catch it? But of the Son, he says. Do we need to show you who's the one speaking?
But of the Son, he says, your throne, O
Yeah, but you
God,
know who the
is
he
forever and
is?
ever.
You know who the he is?
No, I don't.
Show him from Hebrews 1, 5. So you can
Mhm.
see and read.
For to which of the angels did God ever say, you are my son, today I've begotten you? Or again, I will be to him a father, and he shall be to me a son. And again, when he brings the firstborn into the world, he says, let all God's angels worship him.
Lewis, did you catch that? Who's speaking? Who's telling the angels to worship who? Before we
They're,
move on.
they're saying to worship the Son.
So who's saying that though?
Well, this would be God Almighty speaking, right?
Oh, wait. So just like you believe the Quran is Allah's speech, Allah tells you Jesus Messiah is good enough for you. Well, God the Father tells me Jesus is son, all angels must worship him, and calls him God and creator. Now continue. Read.
Of the angels, he says, he makes his angels winds and his ministers a flame of fire. But of the Son, he says, Your throne, O God, is forever and ever.
Who's
The
speaking now,
scepter.
Lewis? Hold on, bro. Take it easy. I know you want to get married. Hold on. Listen. Who's speaking now, Lewis?
This is God speaking, right?
And what did he
Yep.
call Jesus?
He said, "Your throne, O God, is
So the
forever and
Father
ever."
called Jesus in Greek, it's O Theos, the God.
What is it in Arabic?
O,
Ya
o
Allah,
Theos.
Ya
O
Allah.
Theos.
in
But in
Arabic.
Arabic, they translate it Ya Allah. But now finish it. Look what else the Father says about the Son.
The scepter of uprightness is the scepter of your kingdom. You have loved righteousness and hated wickedness. Therefore, God, your God, has anointed you with the oil of gladness beyond your companions. And you, Lord,
Oh,
laid the
who's speaking again? Who's now saying, You, Lord, who's speaking?
still the Father.
This is still,
Are you Lewis, buddy? Let Lewis answer, man.
Oh, my bad.
The Father, right?
I'm just
yes,
so
sir.
excited.
And who is he speaking to? Lewis?
He's. I'm not sure who he's speaking to here. He's saying,
Start at 8. To the
Yeah.
Son. Show me.
"Oh,
That's what I want.
he's speaking directly to the Son." Okay.
That's
Okay, wait.
right.
So you just acknowledge, not that you believe it. Go back. The Father just said to the Son, You, Lord, you, Son, are the Lord. And then look what he says about him.
You, Lord, laid the foundation of the earth in the beginning, and the heavens are the work of your hands. They will perish, but you remain. They will all wear out like a garment. Like a robe, you will roll them up. Like a garment, they will be changed. But you are the same, and your years will have no end.
So God the Father just said to the Son, You are the Lord, the Rabb, that created the heavens and the earth. You control them, you change them, and you're unlike them. You remain the same, and you're the God who rules forever, and you're my Son, and all angels must worship you. Good enough for me.
Tell me the verse that you just read. It was Hebrews.
Hebrews 1, the entire chapter, Hebrews 1.
Hebrews number 1.
Okay, my question to you, Lewis, is just like you would say of me, it's not fair to insist that I have to show you, Christian, from my Quran where Isa says these words in the exact way. We accept the Quran, whatever it says about Isa, because that's Allah speaking, then I return the favor. It's not fair for you to insist to me that Jesus has to speak a certain way in my Bible for it to be true, because I believe my Bible, inspired by God, and God is telling me, the Father's telling me that Jesus is God, the Lord, the Creator, Sustainer, who doesn't change. So it should be good enough for me. So let me add one more example. You hear what he said, right? The entirety of the Bible leads us to worship the Trinity and that Jesus is God in the flesh, not just one or two, entirety. But I'm going to add on one more example of Jesus in our Bible identifying himself God without having to use exact words. I'm saying my Bible. You may not believe Jesus said it, but here's some of the arguments that even from a Muslim perspective, it's clear that Jesus claimed to be God. For example, in chapter 57, verse 3 of the Quran, Surah Al-Hadid, we are told he is the first and the last. Allah, Al-Awwal wal-Akhir, right? Al-Awwal wal-Akhir, chapter 57, verse 3, Surah Al-Hadid. It's there. It says he's the inward, the outward, first and last, and he knows all things. Do you see it on your own Quran, Lewis?
I've seen this before. I've read this verse before.
Okay, so you see Allah's the first and last. Now, no creature can say he's the first or the last, because first means he was there from the beginning. The first act of creation. He'll be there till the very end. And Allah or God can say that because God was there before creation, continues to be, and never ceases. So only God can say this. That's why no prophet says it. Neither in the Old Testament or in the Quran. You'll never find a prophet saying, I'm the first and last. So now I'm going to read something to you. You don't bring it up. Don't bring it up, God. I'm just going to read it. The Quran says Allah is the first and the last. Now, I'm going to read to you Revelation 1:17. It says, when I saw him, I fell at his feet as dead. And he said to me, do not be afraid. I am the first and the last. So the one speaking says, I am the first and last. According to the Quran, who's the first and the last?
It would be God.
So here, the speaker, maybe you probably don't believe it's inspired. That's okay. But at least the author is claiming, the one speaking to me says, I'm the first and last. Now, who would that be?
You're saying that Jesus claimed to be God by saying he was the
Well,
first
in
and last.
Revelation 1.
In Revelations.
Well, I didn't get there yet. What I'm saying is, if Allah or God is the first and the last, and the speaker says, the one speaking to me, he says, I'm the first and last. That means the speaker is claiming that the first and last speaking to him, who would that be? The first and last, according to the Quran.
It would be Allah.
But then it says in Revelation 1:17-18, when I saw him, I fell at his feet as dead, and he placed his right hand upon me and said, do not be afraid. I'm the first and last, the living one who died. And behold, I came to life. I live forevermore, and I hold the keys of death and Hades. So when did Allah die?
He doesn't die.
But that's, you just said, the first and last is Allah. And that person said, I'm the first and the last. I died, and I live forevermore. Well, we know Jesus died and came to life. So how dare Jesus claim to be the first and last?